They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I served mine at exactly 6:47 in the morning, in our marble bathroom, with a can that looked identical to his expensive shaving cream. And let me tell you, nothing has ever tasted sweeter than my coffee that day, listening to his screams echo through our 5-bedroom house. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Have you ever loved someone so completely that you forgot to love yourself? My name is Jennifer, and for 15 years, I was the perfect wife. I was the woman who had dinner on the table at 7 sharp, who kept the house spotless, who smiled at his colleagues' wives at company parties while they whispered about how lucky he was. I was the woman who gave up her career as a graphic designer to support his rise to regional manager. I was the woman who forgave the late nights, the mysterious receipts, the perfume that wasn't mine clinging to his shirts. I was the woman who was a fool. Marcus was handsome in that corporate way. Tall, well-dressed, confident to the point of arrogance. When we met, I was 25, and he was 28, and he made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. He'd bring me flowers for no reason, leave love notes on my car, call me in the middle of his workday just to say he missed me. I thought I'd won the lottery. The truth is, I'd bought a ticket to my own suffering. The first few years were good. Great, even. We bought the house, talked about kids, planned futures that sparkled with promise. But somewhere around year 5, something shifted. He started working longer hours. The flowers stopped. The notes disappeared. He'd come home exhausted, barely kiss me, eat in silence, and fall asleep in front of the TV. I told myself it was stress. That promotions came with pressure. That marriage required patience. I was patient for 10 years. The affair started 18 months ago. I know the exact date because that's when I found the hotel receipt in his jacket pocket. The Grand Lux Hotel. A Friday night when he told me he was at a sales conference in Denver. Except the hotel was 20 minutes from our house. I confronted him. He cried. He swore it was a one-time mistake, a moment of weakness after drinks with a client. He begged for forgiveness, promised it would never happen again, told me I was the love of his life. I believed him. God help me, I believed him. If you've ever given someone a second chance they didn't deserve, you understand what I'm about to tell you. For the next year, I tried harder. I lost weight, I changed my hair. I bought lingerie I felt ridiculous wearing. I packed his lunches with little notes that said, "I love you." I became smaller and smaller, trying to fit into whatever version of me he wanted, while he became more and more distant. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my grocery days, and I'd forgotten to buy milk. I came home earlier than usual, around 8:30 instead of 9. The house was dark except for the light in our bedroom. I assumed he was asleep. He wasn't alone. I won't describe what I saw when I opened that door. Some images burn themselves into your brain, and no amount of time can erase them. But I'll tell you what I felt. Not shock, not anger. Something colder. Clarity. The woman was young, mid-20s. Pretty in that generic way. She screamed and grabbed the sheets. Marcus jumped up, his face pale, already forming excuses. "Jen, wait, this isn't what it looks like." But I didn't wait. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I turned around, walked downstairs, got in my car, and drove to a motel off the highway. I sat on that scratchy bedspread all night, staring at the water-stained ceiling, and something inside me died. Or maybe something was born. By morning, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I went home at 6 a.m. He was still asleep, the woman gone. I showered, made breakfast, and when he came downstairs, I smiled at him. "We need to talk," he said, looking miserable. "Yes," I agreed, "but not now." "You'll be late for work?" He looked relieved. Coward that he was, he took the escape I offered. "Tonight, then." "I'm so sorry, Jen. I love you. We can fix this." I kissed his cheek. "I know we can." He left for work at 7:30, just like always. And I got to work too. What would you have done in my position? I'd always been creative. It's what made me good at design. And as I stood in our bathroom, looking at his meticulous grooming routine laid out like a shrine to his vanity, inspiration struck. Marcus was vain. Obsessively so. He spent 45 minutes every morning on his appearance. Hair gel, cologne, teeth whitening strips, and most importantly, his shaving routine. He used some expensive brand, the kind that came in a sleek silver can and cost $30. He shaved every single morning, precise and careful, because he believed his clean-cut appearance was key to his success. That vanity was going to be his downfall. I went to a hardware store on the other side of town where no one knew me. I bought industrial-strength adhesive, the kind used for construction. Clear, fast-drying, and according to the warning label, capable of bonding skin instantly. I also bought an empty aerosol can and a funnel. Back home, I worked carefully. I poured the adhesive into the can, added a bit of shaving cream for texture and scent, and sealed it perfectly. Then I replaced his expensive shaving cream with my creation. The cans were identical. He'd never notice. I put the original can in my car trunk. Evidence in case I needed it. That night he came home with flowers. Roses, expensive ones. Jen, I'm so sorry. I've been a terrible husband, but I want to make this work. I love you. Only you. I took the flowers, put them in water, and made his favorite dinner. We ate in near silence. He kept trying to catch my eye, to gauge my mood. I remained calm, pleasant even. Are we okay? He asked finally. We will be, I said. And I meant it. He looked relieved. He thought I was going to forgive him. Again. That night he tried to touch me. I told him I needed time. He accepted it. Probably grateful I wasn't throwing things or screaming. He fell asleep quickly, snoring softly, while I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, counting down the hours until morning. At 6:30 a.m., I heard the shower start. I got up, made coffee, and waited. I was sitting at the kitchen table when I heard it. The scream. It started as a confused yelp, then escalated into full-blown panic. I took a sip of my coffee. It was perfectly brewed. Jen, help! I walked upstairs slowly, deliberately. I opened the bathroom door. Marcus was standing in front of the mirror, his hands pressed against his face, his eyes wide with terror. White foam covered his jaw, his neck, his hands. But it wasn't moving. It wasn't rinsing off. It was hardening, gluing his fingers to his face, cementing his jaw shut. What's wrong, honey? I asked, my voice sweet. He made a muffled sound, trying to pull his hands away. His skin stretched, red and angry. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with the adhesive. Oh no, I said, walking closer. Did something happen with your shaving cream? His eyes met mine. In that moment, he knew. He knew I knew. He knew what I'd done. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. You know, Marcus, I've spent 15 years making your life comfortable, making sure everything was perfect for you. Your meals, your home, your image, and you repaid me by bringing another woman into our bed. He made desperate sounds, clawing at his face. That adhesive you're wearing? Industrial strength, used for bonding materials permanently. The warning says it can cause severe skin damage if not removed properly, and it definitely shouldn't be used on your face. I paused, letting that sink in. You should probably get to a hospital. Share this if you've ever wanted justice for betrayal. I watched him stumble toward the door, still clawing at his face, making horrible, muffled sounds. He grabbed his phone with his forearms, trying to dial without his fingers, which were now glued to. By the way, I added as he fumbled past. I've already called a lawyer. The divorce papers will be ready by Monday. You'll get them at work. And don't worry, I have plenty of evidence of your affair, including the hotel receipts, the text messages I recovered from your laptop, and a sworn statement from your mistress. I contacted her last night. Turns out she didn't know you were married. She was very cooperative. He froze, his eyes bulging. Oh, and one more thing. I spoke to your boss yesterday. You know, David? Your boss, whose daughter is getting married next month, and who takes infidelity very seriously because his wife left him for his best friend. I told him everything, with evidence. He was very understanding. About my situation, I mean. Not so much about yours, I smiled. It felt good to smile. Really smile. You see, Marcus, you taught me something valuable. You taught me that I spent 15 years being invisible, being convenient, being useful, but not being valued. And you know what? I'm done being invisible. He tried to speak, but the adhesive had sealed his lips partially shut. All that came out was a pathetic whimper. The hospital is 10 minutes away. I suggest you hurry. And Marcus? I stepped closer. Close enough that he could see the absolute calm in my eyes. Don't ever come back here. Everything you own will be in storage by the end of the week. My lawyer will send you the details. He stumbled out, getting into his car, still in his pajama pants and t-shirt, his face a grotesque mask of white foam and panic. I watched from the window as he sped away, running a stop sign in his desperation. I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat down at the kitchen table. The morning sun streamed through the windows, warm and golden. The house was quiet, peaceful. For the first time in 15 years, I felt free. The aftermath was exactly as satisfying as I'd hoped. Marcus spent 6 hours in the emergency room. The adhesive had to be removed with a special solvent that left his face raw, red, and partially burned. He lost patches of his beard, his eyebrows, and part of his hairline. The doctors said he'd have scarring, permanent scarring. His company put him on administrative leave pending an internal investigation into his conduct. Apparently, having affairs with subordinates violated their ethics policy. Who knew, the mistress called me. Her name was Ashley, and she was 26, a junior analyst at his firm. She cried on the phone, apologizing, saying she had no idea that he'd told her he was divorced. I told her I understood, that she was a victim too, and asked if she'd be willing to provide a statement for my divorce proceedings. She agreed immediately. My lawyer was a woman named Patricia, 60 years old, with steel gray hair and a smile like a shark. She'd been handling divorces for 30 years, and she'd seen it all. When I told her what I'd done, she didn't blink. "Did he press charges?" she asked. "No," I said. "He'd have to explain why his wife would do that. And that would mean admitting to the affair. Publicly." Patricia grinned. "Smart girl. The divorce took 3 months. I got the house, half his retirement, alimony, and a settlement that would keep me comfortable for the rest of my life." Marcus tried to fight it at first. But between the evidence of his infidelity, the testimony from Ashley, and the fact that his face looked like a chemical burn victim, the judge wasn't sympathetic. I saw him once more at the final hearing. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. His face had healed, but the scars remained, visible even under makeup. He couldn't look me in the eye. When the judge finalized the divorce, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not sadness, peace. Comment what you would have done different. 6 months later, I reopened my graphic design business. Turns out 15 years of skills don't disappear just because you stop using them. Within 3 months, I had more clients than I could handle. Within 6, I hired an assistant. Within a year, I doubled my old salary. I moved out of the house. Too many ghosts. I bought a small cottage near the lake, with large windows and a garden I planted myself. I adopted a dog, a golden retriever named Sunny, who greets me every morning with pure, unconditional love. I learned to paddleboard. I joined a book club. I traveled to Italy. Something I'd always wanted to do, but Marcus had always said was too expensive or inconvenient. I stood in front of the Trevi fountain and threw in a coin, and I wished for nothing, because I already had everything I needed. My friends say I look younger now, lighter. They're right. It's amazing what happens when you stop carrying someone else's weight. I don't hate Marcus anymore. Hate requires energy, and I refuse to give him any more of mine. What I did to him wasn't about hate. It was about justice. About making him feel for one morning, a fraction of the humiliation he'd made me feel for years. Was it extreme? Maybe. Was it illegal? Technically, yes. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Because here's what I learned. You can be kind, patient, forgive, and loving. You can sacrifice and compromise and give endless chances. But the moment someone shows you that they don't value those things, that they see your love as a weakness to exploit, you owe them nothing. Not forgiveness, not patience, not one more second of your precious life. Some people call it revenge. Closure. And every morning when I wake up in my cottage, with Sunny curled at my feet and sunlight streaming through my windows, I smile. Because I know that somewhere out there, Marcus looks in the mirror and sees the scars of his choices every single day. And I don't look back at all. They say living well is the best revenge. But sometimes, a little creative just doesn't hurt either. Hit subscribe for more stories of courage and poetic justice. And if you know someone who's forgotten their worth in a relationship, share this with them. Because you deserve to be valued, you deserve to be respected, and you deserve to be free. Your dignity. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is make sure someone remembers that they should have treated you better, while they still had the chance.